All right, Pickle. It's week 11, the final week of the Texas high school football regular season here. After tonight, or not really tonight, after this weekend, something like 60% of the teams will be done. Mm-hmm. Something like 60% of the teams will be eliminated. And that stinks. We don't like that. But what we do like is that then the teams that are left, they all know what's up for grabs. The playoffs will start next week. We will have, of course, big coverage on TexasFootball.com, the Texas High School Football Playoffs. But before we get to the playoffs, Pickle, we've got a big week 11 of games across the state of Texas. And now there's two ways to do a top 10 games this week.
Yes.
You can either go with the games that are have the most at stake, right? Like, for example, I think it's like Celeste and Detroit. Is that right? No, Cumbie and Celeste are playing this week. That is one of the most consequential games in the state because the winner of that game makes the playoffs and the loser of that game goes home. However, from a matchup perspective, it is not the most glamorous matchup in Texas high school football. Respect to Cumbie and Celeste. The other way to do it is the way that we've done it always throughout the course of the regular season, which you just pick out the 10 best games of the week, in my opinion. The 10 best games of the week, and that's what I went with here. So hold your complaints. That's my explanation. I understand that there's a playoff game going on.
It does say Tepper's top 10 Texas high school football games of the week really big on the graphic, so
just blame,
read.
So I'm just saying. Blame Pickle. Let's roll out my top 10 Texas high school football games of the week, starting at number 10, Jonesboro and May. It is a huge state-ranked six-man football game there as Jonesboro looks to finish the year 6-1, while May 7-1, while May looks to finish the year a perfect 8-1, while May looks to finish a perfect 10-0. This is a non-district game that we had circled all year long. Both of these teams are already in the playoffs. Both these teams are 2-0 in their district, but this is a seeding matchup as far as seeds are concerned. The winner will be the number 1 seed out of District 14 1A Division 1. The loser will be the second seed out of 1A out of District 11 or 14 rather. And there are major implications in this one. This is not only a top 10 matchup and obviously a game that we've been excited about, but also the loser of this game, Pickle, plays Gordon in the first round.
10 out of 10 wouldn't recommend doing that.
You know, the defending state champs, the number 1 team in the state, the Gordon Longhorns, the loser of this game will play Baird. And respect to the Bears of Baird,
they're not Gordon.
They are not Gordon. So a huge matchup, a ton on the line here as Jonesboro takes on May with massive implications. Number 9, Cy Woods and Bridgeland. This is a really fascinating ball game. They're in the Wild and Woolly District 16 6A. And for two teams that are 8-1 on the year, the district title is on the line in this one. And furthermore, depending on how things shake out at the bottom of the district, this could, in fact, be for Division I seeding. Bridgeland is locked in at Division I. If Cy Lakes gets in over Cy Ranch, then it may be a situation where there could be they both could go Division I. But for Cy Woods, it's an opportunity to clinch the top seed in whatever division you are in. I'm fascinated to see what happens, and can Cy Woods bounce back from a couple weeks ago when they lost that thriller to Cy Ranch and knocked them from the ranks of the unbeaten. Bridgeland has been rolling along in district undefeated. I've been very impressed with the way that the Bears defense has been playing. I think that's the real money matchup here is Woods' defense versus Bridgeland's defense versus Woods' offense. Fascinating ball game with a lot on the line in District 16 6A. There, Cy Woods and Bridgeland. That game going on tonight down there in Houston. Number 8, Lufkin and Galveston Ball. So there's a number of things here to talk about. First of all, we probably haven't talked enough about Lufkin. and what they've been able to do, they are on the verge of a district championship. They are 5-0 in district play. They have been rolling. And a couple of weeks ago, they had a win on the road at Port Arthur Memorial, which I think really caused people to sit up and pay attention. Their defense has been lights out. Their defense has given up just 11 points per game. Galveston Ball is 8-1 on the year. There is a real their loss is that wild quadruple overtime loss to Barbers Hill a couple of weeks ago. There is a caveat in this one, and that is that Jonah Williams, the superstar do-it-all athlete for Galveston Ball, has been injured the past couple of weeks. We believe that that he will not play in this game. How much does that change things? How can Galveston Ball find other options there? And how much does not having potentially Jonah Williams in that ball game shape what is the top of the table, a district championship game between Galveston Ball and Lufkin? Fascinating ball game down there near the beach there, Galveston Ball and Lufkin. Number 7. West Orange Stark and Hampshire Finette. A game that somehow, I think, is flying under people's radar, and I don't really understand why. You see, Hampshire Finette, I believe, back into the state rankings this week, is 8-1. They had that one loss on the year back in week 2 to Hitchcock, right? They lost that game to Hitchcock, but since then, they have been absolutely drilling people, like into the core of the earth. And Ty Bryson, their quarterback, is spectacular. He is a lot of fun to watch. That will be a real challenge for a West Orange Shark defense that has been very, very strong under Hiawatha Hickman. Their defense has been great. Their offense feels like it's taken a step. They have the one loss on the year as well. It was a 1-point loss against Nederland, which I think we can agree is a loss that's aged pretty well.
Yeah.
Of 4A against a quality, recently state-ranked 5A team. This is for the district championship. They're in District 9 4A Division 1. Straight up, the loser will be second place in the district. This is a fascinating ball game down there. Can Hampshire Finette's offense with Ty Bryson break through against this West Orange Stark defense? A lot on the line there in our number 7 game, West Orange Stark and Hampshire Finette. Number 6. Holiday and Jacksboro. Another game that I feel like is flying under people's radar, and I'm not sure why. Holiday, now recently state ranked, and I'll tell you this. The computer loves Holiday. The computer, I'll just tell you this, they have Holiday ranked 4th in the state in 3A Division 2. They really like what they've been able to do.
Is it domination?
Part of it's domination. Part of it is domination, but also part of it is that they have a win over Munster. It's a 2A Division 2.
But Munster is
really the number 2 team in the state.
They are rolling.
Munster. And their 2 losses on the year are to Jim Ned and Benbrook, who are combined 14-4 on the year. That's part of it. The other thing is that the computer is super impressed with what they did a couple weeks ago against Wichita Falls City View.
And I'll tell you how they did that. That offensive line is massive, dude. Like I think they're rocking like an average weight at a 3A Division 1 program of like 280 to 300.
It's crazy.
That's insane.
Their offensive line has been terrific. It will be a real challenge for their offensive line, obviously against what's been a pretty good Jacksboro defense. But what I'm really paying attention to is the Holiday defense when Jacksboro has the ball, because this Jacksboro offense, woo. White Abbott, their quarterback, has been terrific. Luke Sams, their running back, has been awesome. They have a 1,000-yard receiver in Cannon Valenzuela. This team can straight up score. Holiday probably wants to keep this game in the high 20s, low 30s. Jacksboro probably wants to get this game as high as possible. This is a huge, huge game with the district championship more or less on the line. I will say this, though, because Jacksboro does have a loss, an overtime loss to Wichita Falls City View. If Jacksboro wins this game, then they will be 4-1 alongside Holiday, and then I presume there will be a log jam at the top between Holiday, Jacksboro, and City View. We'll have to figure out what the tiebreaker situation looks like there. But if they lose this game, they will finish 3rd in the district, and that could have wide-ranging implications for them in 3A Division in 3A Division 2. This is a Holiday team, or rather a Jacksboro team, that wants to finish as high as possible. If they finish 3rd, I think that they will still be kind of favored there, but they would basically, this is to avoid Gunner as long as possible. That's the name of the game here. So, fascinated by this ball game. Number 5. Abbott and Aquilla. I love this game. This is a straight-up six-man heater there. It is a state-ranked matchup, a matchup of unbeatens there in Aquilla. And we talked about this on Tep and Step, where you graciously filled in for Matt Step.
Gratefully, graciously.
Both of them.
All of them.
We talked about this game. Abbott's kind of the known commodity. We knew Abbott was going to be pretty good. The playmakers they've got, Paxton Pajovsky, Mason Hell. They've got dudes all over the place. This team is really, really solid across the board. Aquilla's the surprise, and Aquilla's the surprise because of one guy.
Yeah.
T.C. Hennig. And if you're unfamiliar with T.C. Hennig, he is the freshman phenom for Aquilla. A two-way star. Their leading passer, their leading rusher. He has also amazingly caught 3 touchdown passes.
Because why not?
He does a little bit of everything here. He is box office here. This is a real fun matchup for a lot of different reasons. Aquilla can certainly make a big statement if they knock off Abbott. This is for a district championship, obviously, both unbeaten. Both teams already in the playoffs. Fascinating ball game, Abbott and Aquilla. Number 4, let's get real hipstery. Pasadena First Baptist against Houston Emery Weiner.
You're a sicko.
Okay, but let me tell you something.
It's a great game.
Let me tell you something about this, okay?
It's the back-to-back of following up your six-man game with...
This is a private school six-man game. Folks, let me speak to you here.
Let me learn.
Folks, this is number 1 versus number 2 in the six-man private school ranks. Pasadena First Baptist versus Houston Emery Weiner. Both of these teams, this is like, imagine if this was Duncanville and North Shore, right? Don't get caught up in the fact that it's private school six-man game. Pay attention to the fact that this is number 1 versus stinking number 2, matchup of unbeatens in week 11. There's so much going on in this one. Emery Weiner has been a powerhouse for a couple of years. Their defense has been absolutely electrifying, but this is a Pasadena First Baptist offense that can absolutely fly offensively, and I want to see what happens when those two kind of units match up against one another. That is what really surprised me in this one. Is I want to see how the Houston Emery Weiner defense deals with Pasadena First Baptist's speed offensively. A massive game, the game of the week in the private school ranks. Pasadena First Baptist and Houston Emery Weiner. We got 3 six-man games on here.
Yeah,
the last 3. I'll tell you, the last 3 are 11-man games, but 3.
If you had 4, we would need to deem this the best six-man week of all time.
What is like let me see if I can find real quick the 4th best six-man game. At least in the live.
Blum and Milford. That one just has a lot of playoff implications.
Let's see. The 3rd best game. Sands and Klondike is pretty good.
Wow.
Klondike's a team that started off super slow.
And then they picked it back up.
But that's because they played a brutal non-district schedule.
They played 3 D1 teams.
I think all the teams they played are undefeated or something like that. It's crazy. Anyway, number 3, not a six-man game. Sorry, six-man folks. Hawley and Stanford.
I love this one.
Let's get busy. 2 teams. Another sorting game in the Wild and Woolly 2A Division 1 Region 1. Of course, Sunray beat Panhandle a couple weeks ago. Now Hawley and Stanford will play one another. And so this is kind of like in a lot of ways, this is like a qualifying matchup here for when we get to the good stuff. The loser of this game plays Sunray in the second round. The winner of this game gets Panhandle in the second round, almost certainly. I want to see what happens when Stanford's outstanding defense, the number 1 defense in 2A Division 1, led by Caston Vega, goes up against Keegan Abels, the superstar quarterback for Hawley. And then I think Christian Duran for Stanford, their quarterback, has been solid as a rock. It's a real let's find out game for both these teams. One thing, and we talked about this, I mentioned this in the picks, between these 2 teams, which are both undefeated, between these 2 teams, they've only played 1 close game when Hawley beat Eastland. That's a 3A team.
Yep.
What happens when, not if, when this game is close? Who comes up? Who's got the stomach for the fight? Really, really interesting game there, Hawley and Stanford. Keep an eye on that one. Number 2. Let's go to North Texas. Malakoff, really East Texas. Malakoff and Winsboro. 3A Division 1, kind of in the spotlight here. It's the number 1 team in 3A Division 1. And we haven't talked a ton about Malakoff this year, and I think it's because we kind of... in large part, we kind of take them for granted. I think they've been a lot better than all the teams that they've played.
Yeah.
I think this is their biggest test of the year. But they've been rock solid. Their quarterback, Mike Jones.
Who?
Mike Jones has been excellent. They've got Jason Tennyson. Their running back has been great. But more importantly for Malakoff, they have the number 1 scoring defense in 3A Division I, led by Parker Poteet. Their defense has been rock solid. What happens when they deal with Camden Capehart, Tyson Johnson, and the number 5 scoring defense in 3A Division I in Winsboro? Winsboro's also got the home field advantage in this one a ton. This is, to me, 3A Division I think might be the bracket that I'm most fascinated by whenever the brackets come out on Saturday on our bracket reveal show.
Me every year.
We will learn a lot about both of these teams. And I think the winner of this game is probably the favorite in Region 2.
I would agree.
But it's not the number 1 game of the week. Number 1! Galena Park North Shore at Humble Summer Creek.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
And
live on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight Watch Along,
That's right.
which we'll get to in a minute.
North Shore and Summer Creek. You know these two teams, state-ranked ball clubs, two teams that were state runners-up a year ago. Summer Creek has been basically outside of one half of football. They have been exceptional. They've been very, very good. They kind of sleptwalked through their first half against Atascocita, and it ended up costing them. They dug back out of it, but essentially it ended up being too deep of a hole because they were able to score late. Aside from that first half, they have been basically flawless. Their defense with Chad Woodfork and company has been terrific. Their quarterback, Blake Thomas, has been electrifying. Here comes an opportunity with North Shore, right? And for North Shore, they have not been as consistently excellent as Summer Creek, I think. Because Summer Creek has basically played 18 halves of football, and 17 of them have been excellent.
Yep.
North Shore has not played 17 excellent halves of football, but they have been spectacular when they need to be. They're come from behind win over Atascocita, obviously. They got into a bit of a dogfight with Kingwood, but pulled away. Caleb Bailey, Quanell Farrakhan, Dion DeBlanc, DeAndre Hardiman, the playmakers are spectacular. Their defense has been excellent all year long with guys like Devin Sanchez. Can North Shore find offensive consistency against the Summer Creek defense? And can Summer Creek find a secondary threat besides Blake Thomas? Blake Thomas has, I think, been doing increasingly more and more for Summer Creek. They've got to have someone else step up, I think, in the running game. Can somebody else step up for them? A massive game. No playoff implications. Literally none.
No.
Literally nothing on the line from a playoff implication perspective. But a box office matchup live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live.